Who had on their bingo card Trump versus Elon, Elon versus Trump, a falling out, a feud massive? We're going to go through this. We've got a few links here. We've got some stuff that relates to the public debt. But if you don't know what's going on and how it relates to Bitcoin and crypto, it's very, very relevant. But basically, TLDR is there's a new bill to increase the debt ceiling, basically money print, $1.4 trillion. And Elon Musk is very anti this. And Elon Musk probably, if Elon Musk was not on the side of Trump, Trump wouldn't have won the election. And so Elon Musk has this fantasy, which is not based on like politics, that you can reduce government spending and save a country. And I don't believe that, but basically he's just very anti the bill, very anti the bill. And they're just like two kids just duking in and out. So it's pretty crazy. I'm going to go through some things here, but this is super, super relevant. Elon spent $250 million getting Trump elected. Schroeder's relationship with Democrat politicians alienated half his customer base. Accomplished absolutely nothing in Washington. Has now destroyed his relationship with Trump and Republicans with 6 months of the presidential term. This is mind-blowingly stupid. One thing is that's really accurate is you do have to respect Elon because he actually thinks that you can reduce government spending. Now, we're in crypto, hopefully, at least a small part of us, for the tech, for the technology and for the future of permissionless networks and that kind of thing. But let's be honest, for the majority of us, it's for the gains. Like people that were buying Sol at like $30 or less. And yeah, right now it's not doing too well, but it's still doing pretty damn well. Bitcoin, 25K up to 100K. And there's, in my opinion, a lot more room to boost up. And that's why we're in it. And I think a lot of us know that the legacy system, it's messed up. It's a debt-based system. You have to produce more debt in order to keep the society operating. If you don't, as a president or a prime minister or governmental body, you risk your citizens turning against you because you've got like two bad options. You've inherited a mess and you can't fix it. Elon Musk, who's not political, he's clearly a genius. He's clearly on the spectrum. Don't mean any to upset anyone by that. But like he's not he needs to do like Trump as well. They can't do their public relations stuff because they're not good at it. They're just too direct and too crazy, to be honest. But I don't want to say anything that gets me in trouble because these people are both powerful. So the thing is, you do have to respect Elon's commitment to actually reducing the government spending and willingness to burn his last allies to his detriment. Right or wrong, he actually believed in downsizing the government. It is correct. You do want to create like efficiency, but at the end of the day, you have to money print in order to make things bigger. You need interest rates to come down. You need a money print in order to be a popular president and to not have everything explode or implode. And it will implode. It probably just won't implode until next year. This is funny from Pump.fun. Go and launch meme coin. Lex Friedman is saying, triple the security. Please be safe out there, brother. I mean, you can increase your security. I don't think you're going to be in any risk here. But it's just crazy what Elon's been saying. I think this is just a childish thing. And if you don't have any context on Elon Musk, and I like Elon Musk, I think he's very clever, but I also know that he just says whatever he wants to say. He like took on the SEC with just like, do whatever you want. There was a time when all these Thai kids got stuck in a cave in Thailand, and he called like this guy a diver for rescuing him. Then was saying that Elon's system wouldn't work. A pedophile wouldn't publicly apologize and got taken to court. He just like he doesn't know when to just filter. He doesn't know how to filter, I think would be an accurate thing to say, to be perfectly honest. So, I mean, he says this sort of stuff, and maybe this is true. I mean, his name is in the files that you can see. Is it indicative of wrongdoing? Could be, but yeah, we've got nothing there, really. So did Musk get bounced because he was acting up? The other thing is he resigned from Doge. Yeah, and there's quite a few more funny things that are coming out. But basically, it's it all stems around the fact that Elon Musk wants this bill killed. And if Trump doesn't do it, someone else is going to do it. Like, it's the only thing that you can do. This is the craziest thing, and we'll have a look quickly at Truth Social. Like, these guys can't, like, they don't want to just duke it out on a phone call or in person. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was surprised that Biden didn't do it. This is complete, like, you can tell that this is really childish on both sides. Because, and by the way, this here relates to decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft, which they do that for NASA. I mean, they still make money out of it, but NASA's space program doesn't have as much funding, and it was better to be privatized, is my understanding. The point here is, well, the larger kind of picture is you need some sort of space program, because whoever controls the space controls the world, right? You can do something from space, nukes or missiles, and you're just going to, it's going to be all over Red Rover. Hopefully that's not what's going to happen, but this is the relevant thing. And why I said it's childish is because, well, he's been in power since January, and he didn't terminate it until now. So whatever. So we're going to go over quickly Truth Social, which I don't look at until things kind of blow up. What he's promising with this bill is a $1.6 trillion, biggest tax cut ever. And if the bill doesn't pass, there will be a 68% tax increase. Things far worse than that. I didn't create this mess. I'm just going to fix it. Make America great again, blah, blah, blah. And also this, I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done it so months ago. And this may have been one of the cases. Maybe Elon went and he said, hey, I'm going to use Doge, and we're going to find the spending we won't need to do money printing. And Trump's like, all right, see how you go. And you just couldn't save that much money. And we'll show you how much shortly. But more likely, like, honestly, Elon, he believes things. He doesn't understand, like, the financial society is already wrecked. There is a cycle at play. This went and happened and whatnot. And you can just see it's kind of crazy. This is very crazy because the bill actually takes away the EV mandate. And this is very careful wording that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do. So this part could be relevant, although a lot of people do like electric cars. They are cool. And then he just went crazy. This is just the big crazy thing here as well, is there's so much weakness that the US is now implying, right? They can't control they can't control themselves. The US president, he's not delusional or has dementia like maybe Biden does, but he's also like, he's just picking fights with someone that, like, actually made him the president. If Elon didn't help, he wouldn't have been the president. So it's nuts. Now, this EV mandate is kind of crazy, but it's taking away a lot of stuff, elimination of the EV tax credits. This part is fine. I think Elon has even said, like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't really matter. This is true for all companies, by the way. Rollback of emission standards, halting EV infrastructure funding, kind of fine as well. Like, you could privatize it and still make it more affordable than gas. But there's a few things where it just seems to be a bit backward. One thing down here, just from ChatGPT, of course, international competitiveness, like China may become bigger, and that is very, very true. But one thing to keep in mind is that, like, China, like, there's far more smog. India, far more smog. The air pollution is very important, and EVs are good in that sense. Let's have a quick look at this. This is the US national debt. This is usdebtclock.org. We don't know how accurate it is, but we're assuming it's fairly accurate. The debt just goes up at such an alarming rate, and this is potentially the Doge clock, like how much money they actually saved. So what you have here is 500 billion. That's the upper estimates. We don't think they've got that high money saved, and this is 36.9, almost $40 trillion worth of debt. And what happens when there's too much debt in the system and there's not enough money that's coming from taxes and whatnot, is the government actually it stops. It just stops, meaning people don't go to work, and those that have to go to work, like FBI and whatnot, they don't get paid, and maybe they'll get paid back again. So how it kind of works, and I don't understand it really well because it's an American system, but like a bill has to be put forth. It goes through, I think, the Senate and Congress, and then it has to be approved. And sometimes they don't approve it before, and you do have a government shutdown. But what they're trying to do here with this is basically just trying to increase this national debt level so that asset prices can go up, in my opinion, and also create more jobs and whatnot. And the reason why this is so important is because if you take on a role and you have to reduce spending, then all of a sudden, like, interest rates are high, people hold on to their money. If you flood the market with money, all this economic activity happens, which means people, like, it's kind of like a euphoria in a bull market. When you're making money, when Sol's $209, if Ether's 5,000, Bitcoin's 200 grand, you feel like you've got all this money. So interest rates are low, and you go and play and you gamble and you do fun things, and you take holidays, and you create a new company, you hire new staff, you try out an idea. Most or many of these things will go bankrupt, or most startups fail. But at least that's kind of economic activity. That's how the system was designed unintentionally. That's how it works. And so if you have someone come along and say, no, we need to reduce this, it just doesn't work at all, to be perfectly honest. And we don't actually know how much Doge actually managed to save, but like estimates are more like $180 billion. The other thing that Elon Musk has spoken about and others have spoken about is the social security system will go bankrupt. And I haven't prompted this very deeply, but it is true that, and this is another reason why people have Bitcoin and crypto. It is potentially true that the debt will get so large that private companies will be worth more, and that the amount of money in Social Security, which will be largely holding the debt, a treasury bond, will become so worthless that the value will reduce, and that there will be no Social Security. I'm referring to like 401ks and retirement funds, but the Social Security, the pension, there'll be no money to even pay out them because there won't be enough tax coming in. And if you just print ad lib, just keep on printing, what's going to happen is it's going to turn to like a Zimbabwe situation. We're not referring to the US at this stage anywhere near that, because that's not what we're referring to. But we're referring to the possibility that this does happen. And what they're looking here is the trust funds reserves will be depleted 2034. And so a pension would be cut by like 20 to 23%. Now, all presidents have increased the national debt, just to keep that in mind. This is in billions of dollars. Early days, you don't really, worry about it. It was far before our time. And then it started to get crazier and crazier and crazier. And the reason why it gets crazy is it's not necessarily because they're spending so much more money. It's just because inflation happens. The dollar's not worth as much as it used to be. And you're paying all this interest. So Congress raised the debt ceiling. This is what happened with Trump back in 2017. And the same thing is happening now. This is the time. And this is what actually happens in this cycle. And it doesn't actually matter if you're blue or red, if you're Republican or Democratic. We'll ignore these guys because this is crazy amounts in terms of percentage change. But like Barack Obama, 64%, Bush, 42%, 72% for the other Bush. Donald Trump, first term, 40%. Joe Biden, 30%. And we'll have to wait and see what the second term is. Now, what is this bill actually trying to do? One big, beautiful bill act. So I prompted ChatGPT to try and get a few things. And it's saying to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion, which is still nuts. And then trying to make the 37% top income tax permanent, child tax credit, all sorts of things. Just basically reduce taxing. Reduce taxing is one of the major things, and it's trying to get more money out there so people spend more money and take more risks. Is my understanding, because right now we saw, like early today in today's daily news, like can't remember the exact numbers, but they thought there was going to be like 110,000 new jobs this month. In the end, there was 60,000. You need more jobs. You need a stimulated economy. Otherwise, you do have recession, and whoever has that recession looks like the bad president, even though it is essentially a cycle. Now, this is the thing. If this bill passes, we certainly will get a pump. Like, we will get a nice pump, and things will be far more euphoric. Now, financial advice is that's what's happened in the past. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion. However, it was very narrow with the voting only just passing, and right now, this may not actually pass. I mean, it'd be very hard to get this to pass before the July 4th deadline without changing anything, in my opinion, just because I think now, like, Democrats will vote against it regardless because they're not Republican. And if a Democrat was in power and proposed it, the Republicans would vote against it. It's kind of like people don't even necessarily care what they vote for as long as they're just voting against the other party. Politics is freaking crazy, in my opinion. But I don't want to offend anyone here because, like, left or right, it doesn't matter. Our goal is, will our bags go up? I'm sorry, that's just what it kind of boils down to. If it is actually passed, it would come into effect and impact the 2025 financial fiscal year. So I'm hoping it does come into effect because it is good for our bags, and it is the only thing that would probably work. You would want to try and trim the fat, but the biggest problem is, well, not the biggest problem, but one of the problems is the lower half of the US population and in the world in general holds US dollars or their local currency, and it debases at per roll pull 8% per year. But you go on money print, it's even higher. Inflation in the US is high. Like, the cost of food and stuff, it's crazy. It's really, really insane. And the other thing is, when they print more, what will happen with other countries in European Union and whatnot, they're going to print more as well. So it all continues to debase. You just know that you've got Bitcoin with this finite supply. What has happened on the news of all this is just like the markets have dipped down. Looking at the top 100, Dupe has fallen the most. Dupe is not doing well. Great protocol, but the token is just not doing well. The Trump meme coin has fallen. Bonk has fallen. Fartcoin is up, as I mentioned in a video earlier today. And then if you have a look at, like, just the top 100, Bitcoin has crashed significantly. ETH is down 7%. Sol's down 7%. Like, I mean, I would happily buy some spot bags, of course, but this is like this fundamental news just came out. Even though it's bullish, it's only bullish if it passes. In terms of the stock market, we have this data here. We could have a look on the 2-hour. But, like, it is certainly still most definitely in an uptrend. But, you know, recently it's had a small dip. The biggest loser, unfortunately, has been, well, there'll probably be bigger losers, but Tesla. Over the last few days, Tesla's down like 25%. It is not, it's just free falling. And yeah, it's a major mistake that Elon Musk has made to think that he can be part of politics as a special administration employee or whatever, or contractor or whatever it was. And I think the problem is, like, you can't necessarily have like two big, you know, alpha leader people, whether or not you hate them, that's beside the point. You can't have them and one taking orders from the other. It doesn't really work like that. You need a leader and a team on board with that leader's view system, and then you need competent people to execute on something. And they're like two people that they can't, you know, they can't change their minds. They have their own minds. And to be perfectly honest, I think Trump's system is the correct system. It's gonna make the poorer poorer and the rich are richer. But at the same time, anything else will just make a recession. If you don't inject liquidity into the markets and make it so that there's more opportunity out there, then like the whole thing will collapse, and it still will collapse. Let's see if we can bring up one more thing here. It will collapse regardless. When? We'll have to see. But I don't think it's going to be this year. More data. We need more data in order to work that out, though. So I've referenced this many times from Jason Pizzino, and this came from Phil J. Anderson. This is the 18.6-year property cycle. I'll get rid of my face for a second. So, like, have a look at the years. So we have our peak market, and apparently it's crypto first. So crypto will peak and then collapse. Real estate will peak and then collapse, and the stocks will peak and then collapse. And so Jason's calling for like an October high, and I think it's going to be next year, early next year for crypto. But like, we can't call it this far out. Hustle now. Then you have this, and then so next year would be when things would start to peak even higher in real estate and stocks, and then it would come off. And it'll take a couple of years to really come off because the governments would try and fix this. But the thing is, the winner's curse is the last 2 years, and it does need to get kind of quite euphoric. And I don't think crypto's really got euphoric enough. Neither have stocks, nor have houses. I'm expecting to see a lot more stuff come, but I need to go and dive in with 10 hours of research, listen to everything that I want to listen to, and then come back to you on that. But the TLDR is money printing needs to happen by governments, and interest rates comes down, which will make this part euphoric. And then it will all crash down 30-40%. Sometimes other countries or cities will do better than that, or some stocks will be okay. But it's going to be a time to short, or at least hedge, in my opinion. So that's the battle. Tesla and Elon Musk versus Donald Trump and potentially the US government. And Elon Musk, he has, I would say, a broader audience, certainly broader on Twitter. I think Twitter is the #1 media app these days. Truth Social, people are using it, but I mean, I'm not using it. And like, there's clearly a very big difference in the amount of engagement. Like, we don't know how many impressions or whatever this is getting. 21,000 here. 166,000. Like, there's a big difference here. So this could actually, if it doesn't play out in a way where this bill is going to get passed, even if there's some sort of addendums, then we're going to be in big trouble. One good thing is Elizabeth Warren, who I'm fairly sure is a Democrat, she is on board with this. So let's just double check if I am correct, if she is actually a Democrat. So if there are some people that are, so if there's some people, she's from the Democratic Party, and she's not well liked amongst Twitter and whatnot, in crypto Twitter, but she's on board with this package. And if Trump's on board with this package, maybe she can convince some Democrats to also be on board with this, and then it can get pushed through. But the biggest issue is that Elon Musk will probably switch sides, become more Democratic, potentially, or he might just be anti this bill, and so maybe it doesn't get passed. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm going off on a tangent. That's all the information. Let me know your thoughts. More is going to unfold. I think it's going to get a little bit nasty, but there will be, the market's not going to go down forever, in my opinion. So you may want to deploy some capital if you've got some capital available. Thanks for watching. Cheers.